The Converted Man here. So, TrueEmpiricism. Ah, yes. I forgot about this guy. Although I did have some hangouts with him from time to time. I didn't really talk to him very much, I guess. I don't know. So, now he's making non-hangout videos, and I looked him up thanks to Prudent Discourse, who I must shout out in this video in the following way. Roar! Anyways, so TrueEmpiricism has a video called Atheism is like a virus, no evidence or substance. My brain already starts to hurt. It's a poisoning of the well, and it's a straw man. He complains about the definition of atheism, trying to basically equivocate on what atheism means or doesn't mean. Complains that atheists ignore all the other definitions of atheism while not providing any said definitions of atheism in his video. Just let me make sure in the comments below. Let's see. Show more? Nope. Not there. No links to any dictionary definitions of atheism to prove his point. Oops. Okay, so I'm not going to take your word for it. You're going to have to provide, I'm going to say, 50 different definitions of atheism from 50 different dictionaries and show all the different definitions. Now, what's going to happen is, I bet, that most of them will agree on what atheism is. There will be one definition of the 2 or 3 offered that is very similar to all the other dictionary definitions. And that's probably because people insist that that is the definition. Because the group, atheists, get to decide what atheism means. Because people get to decide what words mean. And you can make a word mean something else, but then you have to provide the definition from that. And we both have to agree upon the definition of that. And if you're not willing or able to do that, then we can't even have a discussion in the first place. This is how I'm going to define atheism. X, Y, Z. Then you, because you want to have a conversation and or debate, say, well, I don't like that definition. Can we change it? And perhaps we'll negotiate on what the definition is. Fine. But for now, atheism is simply without theism. That means there's no theism. Theism is God, so without God, there you go. That's all there is to it. There's no burden. There is no need for evidence because it is a lack of belief. It is simply a response to theism. Similarly, I'm an A-leprechaunist, an A-fairyist, an A-goblins, orgs, and dragonsist, etc., etc. But I don't need to have all those other labels because not that many people believe in goblins, orgs, or dragons, but a lot of people do believe in God. So I do have to have the label of atheist to say no, that's not me. But I usually and typically use the label skeptic because it tells you immediately that I'm going to be skeptical of whatever you've got, and you're going to have to do something to convince me to not be skeptical. So what can you possibly do to convince me true empiricism? Well, there's 3 things that are very simple. One is empirical evidence. Here's an example of empirical evidence. I have a green stuffed worm plush toy. Empirical evidence. Repeatable test. There's this thing that happens when I drop my stuffed toy. It's going to fall down. Oh look, it does it every time. I'm gonna call this phenomenon gravity. Wow, amazing. Or, if you don't have those for some strange, bizarre reason, then you need a logically coherent argument. So simply offer that. One of those 3 things will satisfy me. Until you do, I have every reason to be skeptical of what God is, who God is, or even that God is at all. because I don't even know if that word has any actual meaning to it. The problem with defining God is different than the problem of defining this stuffed worm. You can't exactly point to something and say that's God. So unless I'm wrong, and there is empirical evidence that you can point to and say there's God. If we don't have that, then there's got to be some sort of test. Can we pray as some sort of test? Hey God, if you exist, make my worm here levitate right now. Make it levitate. Nope, didn't happen. Okay, so all we have left is some sort of logically coherent argument, which I've not seen or heard, so you need to present that. And if you're unwilling or unable to present any of those three things, then we have every reason to be skeptical of your conclusion regarding God, or anything else for that matter. So, I await your video in which you provide me one of those three things. I expect you to disappoint me, True Empiricism. Until next time, continue to be skeptical. Or something. Roar! Prudent Discourse gets that joke.